Now we're going to look at the building blocks. What is a module? So think about writing a book. You wouldn't write the entire story as one enormous continuous paragraph, right? You'd organize it into chapters, paragraphs, and sentences. So this makes the book easier to read and to write and edit. In programming, modules are like the chapters of your application, right? So they are individual files of JavaScript code that are designed to do a specific job. So this approach has several huge benefits. It keeps your code tidy and manageable. So you can have one module for handling database connections, another one for user authentication, another one for utility functions. So when it comes to reusability, you can write a successful function in one module and then use it in many different parts of your application or even in different projects without copying and pasting the code, right? So, and then encapsulation. So this is a key concept. A module can have a private code that it uses internally and in a public code that it exposes to the outside world. So this prevents you from accidentally messing up with the internal workings of a module from another part of your code. So in Node.js, every single JavaScript file you create is a module. There is two flavors of modules. This is very important to point out that that can actually confuse a lot of beginners, because historically JavaScript didn't have a built-in module system. So Node.js created its own called common.js, and then later the official JavaScript language specification introduced a standardized module system called ES modules. So we did that in JavaScript, but for today we'll just start with common.js because it's simple and you will see it everywhere. Then we'll show you how to do the same thing with ES module. Alright, so now let's get practical. We're gonna create a simple application with two files, and then here we're gonna have lesson 1 modules. Alright, so in lesson 1 we're gonna make two files, app.js and then another one we're gonna make a second file called utils.js. In utils.js we're gonna create a simple function and export it into and export it. So we will just have let's say a function called generate secret key. So this function is private to this module. So this function that we're creating is private. Alright, and then the second function will be public. Welcome to your lesson. Then now we decide what to export. We can just say module. We only exporting the grid user. They generate the generate secret key cannot be exported outside of, or cannot be used outside of this file. So now the module.exports, it is a special object in Node.js. So whatever you assign to it is what other files will receive when they require this file. Alright. Now on the app have const and then let's say grid as require. So that // is very important. It tells Node to look for a local file. All right, so it's very important. It tells Node to look for a local file, not a built-in module. All right. Then maybe we'll have so we can have const user. User is Alice, and then we can have const a message. So we're using the function that we actually imported, and we're gonna load this to the console. Now to run it, we're gonna open a terminal. You can, if you check there's a section. Let me just do this. You're gonna click on these three dots, and then you click on new terminal. Okay, then we're gonna run it by app.js. So the problem is that the terminal is not currently open here. So we must actually change directory to the lesson 1 modules. So now we actually on lesson 1, and then if we run, then we can see now the files. Now we can go back and run node app.js, and then we can see, hello Alice, welcome to our lesson. So we can actually see what we wanted. So now we've successfully created and used our own module. And then one thing that you must notice is how the app.js has no idea how the greeting is created. It just knows that it can use the greet function. So this is the power of modules. Now, Node comes with a standard library of powerful modules that you don't need to install. So these are called core modules. So they give you the tools to do things like work with the file system, create web servers, and handle cryptography as well. So let's try one of these common core modules, the file systems. So we're gonna modify our app.js to use the fs modules to write our greeting to a new file. Let's say require const fs, and then require fs. And then let's say the user is, let's change the username, Bob. Read the user about to write a file. Now we use the fs modules to write our message to a file named greet, right? So this is a synchronous operation, meaning our program waits for it to be finished. So we're gonna do something like fs dot write file sync, which is greeting dot txt, and then we pass the message there. And then after that we can just log console dot log that the file has been written successfully. File has been written successfully. Then we need to actually write again. So just gonna do this. So we need to run node app.js again. And now look, we have a new file called greeting.txt, and it's actually written inside. So if we go reveal in file explorer, we should actually see that we have this file called greeting. It's a text file. If I open it, it opens in a notepad. So this is something that you can't do in a browser JavaScript, and it shows the real power of running JavaScript on a server with Node.js. Now, just to show you a modern way, let's quickly convert our first mini project to use ES modules. So this requires a one setup step. Now first we have to initialize NPM. So in the terminal we can actually run npm remember npm is node package module init y. So this is gonna create, if we run that, so this error is not with our code currently setting in Windows. So what's happening basically, by default, to protect you, the user, from running malicious script, Windows prevents PowerShell from running any scripts files. So when you type npm, you're actually trying to run a PowerShell script called npm ps1. So the error cannot be loaded because the running script is disabled on the system. Is PowerShell telling you, I'm not allowed to run the script for your safety. So how we need to fix this? We need to change these security settings called execution policy. So we need to do this from the PowerShell window that is running as an administrator. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open PowerShell. I should have it. If it's giving you the same error, then you can do that as well. So I'm gonna open PowerShell. I have PowerShell here, and I'm gonna right click and run as an administrator. And then I'm gonna type there get execution policy. Get execution policy. Make sure that the something like that. Well, okay, it's actually restricted, you can see, and then I need to change it. So I'm gonna say set execution remote signed. Remote signed. And then so PowerShell is going to ask me if I want to confirm the change. Then I'm going to say Y for yes, and then it should be fine now. Okay, so now I can just close and then go back to my terminal and then redo what I was trying to do. So I'm just going to press the up arrow to get the last command that we had, npm init y, and then it should initialize now. Fine. So now once it initializes, it creates a package.json. So this is a file that manages project metadata and dependencies. So that flag of y, it just accepts all the defaults. So we can enable the module, so we can open the package.json. So we're gonna add this line. Sorry, just meant type like this, and we're gonna just say this is module. Okay, and then we just need the comma there. Now we can convert utils to actually use the ES modules, right? So this is an ES module. So here we can just, instead of saying module.export, we can just say export default grid user. Why? Because now on package.json we specify that we're gonna actually, the type is module. So now we can also convert the app.js to instead of creating it like this using require, so we can just say import. All right, so let me just go ahead and do that. and then we can just use import grid. Just give me a few seconds. Import grid and then slash utils, and then it's important to put .js at the end. All right, so it's still gonna work fine, and then you can run it and then it should actually work fine. All right, so just a recap, modules helps us to organize our code into reusable encapsulate files, and then Node has two types of modules, require, the module.exports, and then modern ES modules, import and export. So we can create our own modules to share functionality between files, and then Node.js has a powerful core modules like the one that we've just used now, the FS module, that lets us interact with your computer file system. Hopefully you now understand the fundamental structure of Node.js. So in our next lesson, we'll explore NPM Node Package Manager. So this is a tool that unlocks rather massive ecosystems of third-party modules written by other developers all over the world.